What is going on, Fit Fam? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Megan Janice, the founder of Nomadic Fitness, and I teach you ladies how to eat way more food with no restrictions and work out smarter instead of harder so you can get that sexy hourglass body, feel amazing while doing it, and keep it easily for life. So if you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you'll get to keep seeing this awesome content, and if you're coming back, then thank you so much for joining for another video. Okay, so in today's video, I'm going to be breaking down my favorite way to approach achieving your goals. And I really believe that this is the best way that pretty much everybody should be implementing as a long-term strategy to look and feel great while having so much freedom and flexibility in your life that it honestly won't even really feel that hard. And that strategy, my friends, is recomping. Recomping is short for recomposition, which means literally recomposing what your body is made of. So essentially what that is simultaneously decreasing your body fat while gaining muscle, which is really what everybody wants. The physique you desire, the energy you desire, is a combination of having a relatively low body fat percentage, but most importantly, also having a significant amount of muscle as well. So generally speaking, we really only have three choices with our approach to achieving our fitness goals. You can cut, which is where you are mainly focused on losing fat, and this requires that you are in a little bit of a calorie deficit. So cutting is definitely, I think, by far the hardest. It takes a lot of precision, a lot of focus, and it can just get a little bit exhausting after a while because you have to be so dialed in. You can get definitely pretty hungry towards the end. You have to do a little bit more cardio. But that being said, you are going to see the most fat loss doing a cut. However, the downside to cutting is that you are going to probably slow down your metabolism a little bit since you're not eating as much food. And honestly, I find when I cut, I end up just feeling a little bit too skinny or too small. So although I am getting leaner and I'm definitely seeing a little bit more cuts coming out, I always end up feeling a little bit sad that I actually don't have as much shape. My muscles aren't as full. So that's definitely kind of the downside to cutting, is that you're not really going to have all of that sexy muscle at the same time. Now, the opposite goal, that is our other option, is where you are gaining, or bulking as it's called. And this is where you are intentionally eating in a calorie surplus. So eating more food than the amount of calories that you are burning every single day. And the pro to this is obviously that you get to eat a ton of food. You definitely don't have to be quite as strict since you're gaining instead of trying to lose. And when you're losing, you have to be really, really precise to ensure that you actually are in a deficit in order to see the results happening. And then of course, when you're gaining, when you have a lot of calories coming in, that's going to translate into a ton of energy in the gym so you can perform really well and also recover very quickly. Now, the downside to doing a real bulk would be that when you're in a calorie surplus, obviously we're going to try to make sure that the majority of what we gain is going to come from muscle, but unfortunately it can't only come from muscle. You are also going to have some fat gain. That's just how it goes. When you're cutting, you're inevitably going to have some muscle loss and also see your metabolism go down. And then when you're gaining, it's the opposite. You're inevitably going to have a little bit of fat gain that comes with all that muscle gain. So all of this can end up making you just feel a little bit too fluffy. So that's kind of the downside there. So then the third option, which in my opinion is really just the perfect balance of everything, is where you are at maintenance. So being at maintenance means eating exactly the same amount as how much you are expending every day so that you are more or less going to stay how you are now. However, you can kind of play with this and actually go into just a very, very slight surplus. And this is kind of what people call main gaining. And this is also what I would consider the recomp area, which is my favorite thing to do. It's what I've been doing this entire month of January, and I have absolutely been loving it, and I just feel like it's been so eye-opening. That is why I wanted to make this video, so I could share more about it and just kind of convince you of why this is the way that you should be approaching your fitness goals as well. So before this past month, where I have been doing this main gaining or recomping, I did about an 8-week cut, and it went really well, and I was happy with the results I got. However, by the end of those 8 weeks, I was feeling really burnt out from cutting and just from being in a calorie deficit. It's not that my calorie deficit was really crazy by any means. I think the lowest I went was like 1800. The majority of the cut was more like 19. So it's definitely still a decent bit of fuel, but I just found that it starts to wear on you after a little while to have to be so precise and to have to feel a little bit more restricted with your food. It is really amazing how much a couple hundred calories one way or another can really change the way you feel around food. And then, like I said, even though I was happy that I was leaning out and kind of firming up and everything, I still end up feeling kind of small and a little bit shapeless in some ways when I'm cutting, which makes me realize that that's actually not really what I want to be doing. What I really care about is putting on some serious shape, getting those sexy curves, and all of that requires being able to build muscle. And in order to be able to build muscle, you need to be eating at least at maintenance, if not even a little bit above maintenance. So this is why I think recomping, main gaining, whatever you want to call it, is such a perfect solution, because you do have enough fuel that you are going to be able to gain, but it's not so much extra fuel that you're actually going to end up just gaining too much fat along with the muscle and then end up feeling really fluffy and then have to do a really long cut to get rid of that fat anyways. So I think probably my favorite thing about eating at maintenance or just a little bit above maintenance is just how good you feel and kind of the abundance that you feel around food, because you do really get to eat quite a lot. Right now, I just came up to 2,200 calories a day, which truly is a lot of food, and I'm going to keep reversing up, probably up to around 2,500 calories or so. So that is really, really a lot. You can do so much with all of that. And because you're eating at your maintenance, that means you feel really full and satisfied all of the time, pretty much. Whereas when you're cutting, you're definitely gonna have moments of feeling pretty hungry. And then that, paired with the fact that I just feel kind of a little bit too skinny, makes me actually not really be a huge fan of cutting, and instead enjoy recomping so much more, because you get to eat so much food, feel really full, feel really satisfied all the time, and you still get to keep that really nice lean look because you're not actually in a big surplus. So you are still staying lean, you're still staying toned, you're not feeling fluffy, but then the difference is that you feel like you actually have some shape on your body. You feel like your muscles are filled out, you feel like you're actually making progress and seeing some curves and everything come in. Now, don't get me wrong, this is a very slow, long process, because that is why people actually choose to cut or gain, because they kind of just want to get results one way or another faster. So they want to see a little bit faster fat loss, even if it means having to be more strict and kind of dealing with a little bit of hunger sometimes, or they just want to gain and they want to just see more muscle gain faster, even if that means putting on a little bit of body fat. However, in my opinion, I just really don't think it is worth it to go and end up putting on all this extra body fat and then kind of feeling a little bit too bulky. I really don't think any woman wants to feel that way, which is why I think recomping is just like this perfect, beautiful in between. And of course, you will experience for yourself how eating all of that food directly translates into your performance in the gym. Because when you have a surplus of energy, even if it's just a mild surplus, you're gonna feel so energized and so ready to rock it in your lifting. So this is definitely where you're gonna feel really good in the gym, feel like you're hitting PRs, lifting heavier and heavier weight, and also recovering from your workouts really well so that you can keep pushing yourself, keep feeling really good and energized, and seeing progress happening physically in your body. Even if it is very gradual, you're still seeing it. And then I think the last thing that feels so good about recomping or main gaining is that you also get to be a lot more flexible with your approach to food. So of course, most of the time you still want to be hitting your macros. It's not just a free-for-all where you're going to stuff your face. Obviously, if you do that, then you are going to end up gaining too much body fat. However, you don't need to be nearly as strict as you have to be when you're in a cut, because when you're in a cut, you have to make sure that you literally are in that deficit, because it is the deficit that is actually creating the fat loss. Whereas when you're main gaining, when you're kind of just maintaining your physique and slowly gaining a little bit of muscle, you can definitely have a couple of meals out per week. You can definitely have some drinks, and it's not really gonna make much difference in your physique. Take me, even this last weekend, I went out a few times with my friends. I definitely indulged a good bit, definitely had some drinks, but then when I get back in the gym on Monday, I honestly feel and look exactly the same. So getting to eat a lot of food, feeling like you have a lot of freedom and flexibility to also have a pretty balanced social life with all of that food, feeling energized, feeling good, getting stronger, and having a lot of fun in your workouts, and of course, not feeling too skinny, but also not feeling too fluffy, just being at that perfect right amount, is all of the reasons why I love recomping so much. And I definitely think this is what the vast majority of women should be doing. You should be getting to a recomp level, and you should just be staying there for like many months at a time. Now, there is a time and a place to bring in a cut, of course. Once you do get to a point where maybe you are feeling a little bit too fluffy, or there just is that little bit of fat that you really want to target and get rid of, or maybe you just want to extra lean out for a vacation or a photo shoot or something, then of course you can bring in a little bit of cutting. But I also also kind of have changed my perspective around this, and I think it's better to just cut for maybe like 4-8 weeks, kind of get in, get out, except that it is going to be a little bit more restrictive, a little bit more disciplined, but knowing that you don't have to do it for that long, and then you can just get back to the much more sustainable fun part, which is recomping. However, I really do think that you're going to be able to still get lean enough while recomping that you won't actually maybe even need to do a cut. It's going to be completely up to you, your goals, and what you want to achieve. Okay, so then the question I think you might be wondering is, how can you find out what your maintenance calories are? So here is how you're going to do it. Track everything that you eat for a week in an app like MyFitnessPal, and make sure that you track it very, very meticulously, because we really need all of that data. And then you're going to average out what the calorie total was. So taking all of the days, adding them up, and then divide it by 7, and eat to a point where you feel full, satisfied, and good, but not like you're stuffing yourself, but also not like you're hungry, because that is what your maintenance is, right? It's how much you need to actually feel good, feel energized, but not be way over or way under. So then once you have that calorie number, let's say it's 1800 calories, you're gonna wanna make sure that you are putting a portion of those calories towards your protein intake. So your protein should be around 1 gram per pound of body weight. If you have a lot of excess body fat, however, it doesn't need to be quite that high. Really, the cutoff I say for most women is around 150 grams a day. So we'll use me, for example. I'm exactly about 140 pounds right now. So I wanna have 140 grams of protein per day. So 140 times 4, because 1 gram of protein is 4 calories, is gonna give me 560 calories from protein. So then what you would do to figure out how many carbs and fats you should be having is take the 1800 calories that is your maintenance, subtract 560 calories that are gonna be going to protein, and then you have 1240 calories left over. So that can go to carbs and fats. It's kind of up to you how much you want to spend on each one. It doesn't really matter a ton, especially when you are going to be more main gaining. The only thing is you just want to make sure that your fats aren't too low. It should definitely not be any lower than 25% of your total calories for the day. Okay, so now what you're going to do is you're going to be keeping an eye both on the scale weight every day. You should be weighing yourself first thing in the morning before eating anything, drinking anything, and after using the bathroom. And the reason why you should be weighing yourself is just to keep an eye on the data over time, because this is going to tell you how your metabolism is adapting to what you're eating and where your maintenance may be now. Because this is the thing, your maintenance will change depending on exactly what's going on in your lifestyle. It's not like you have just like one maintenance and it never changes. Your body is adapting, and as you're gaining more muscle, as you're eating all of that protein, as you consistently lift a lot of weights in the gym, your maintenance is actually going to increase. And that's the beautiful thing with the recomping, is you can gradually get your intake up higher and higher, because since you have all that protein, you have all that fuel coming in, you're able to push yourself hard in the gym because you have the energy for it, which then turns into you gaining a little bit more muscle, because again, you actually have the fuel coming in to make that muscle. And then because of that, your metabolism starts picking up over time. So what you're going to notice is if you're tracking your maintenance calories, you might actually start to see that even though you're still eating the same as you were before, the scale is going to start to drop a little bit. And that is how you know that your metabolism is probably picking up and you're actually not maybe in a surplus anymore, and you want to actually increase your intake. And another way to know that your metabolism is picking up, of course, is just listening to your biofeedback, specifically your hunger levels. Because again, as your metabolism starts picking up, you start burning more calories all the time, you're going to start to get a little bit hungrier. So keep tracking your intake, keep an eye on the scale, and take photos every week to see how you're looking. Because again, sometimes the scale might say one thing, but you might look really different in your photos. So you really want to compare them side by side. The point of the recomping is that you should still look pretty lean, pretty toned, but you have a little bit of shape and definition on your body as well. So then what you would do is you would gradually increase your calories from where you're at right now based on what your body is telling you. So as that hunger starts to go up, as you see that you're really leaning out in your photos, and maybe as the scale is going down a little bit, that's how you know you definitely have room to increase. So you don't want to increase like crazy, maybe just about 50 to 100 calories at a time. And the increase should really come from carbs, because the carbs is what is going to directly translate into the fuel you need to perform in the gym, but you can do a little bit of an increase from fats as well. So adding somewhere between 15 to 30 grams of carbs at a time. If you want to stay a little bit on the more cautious side, you can keep it on the low end, but if you are really feeling hungry, if you notice that you're really leaning out and everything is going well, you can push that a little bit higher. And you wouldn't necessarily need to increase every week, probably every other week is more so what you want to aim for. But again, it's all just going to depend on how your body is responding, so just make sure to keep a close eye on what you're doing. So then if you implement all of this, you are going to have such an amazing experience. You're going to see how your body is really leaning out. You're going to have so much fun in the gym. You're going to be hitting PRs all the time, feeling so strong and good. And of course, you're going to be putting on that really sexy muscle shape to your body. So So all of this is just so much more fun, so much more sustainable than always thinking you have to cut, because that's actually not the way to get the results you want. It's not always about getting lean, lean, lean. It's actually about putting on that muscle. And that is what's gonna make your metabolism fast so that you can actually easily maintain your results while having a very flexible lifestyle with your food. All right, Fit Fam, that is it. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Definitely comment down below if you have any questions. I am always here to help you. If you're a little bit unsure about whether or not you should be recomping, cutting, gaining, comment it down below and I will help you out. And if there's anything else you want to see from me, definitely let me know so I'll get inspired for the next video to make. So now to continue on the right path of how to eat and how to work out, I suggest checking out these two videos that are going to show you how to eat right and how to work out right, even if you're a total beginner, so you can build that muscle, speed up your metabolism to keep these results for life. Thanks so much for checking out this video and I will see you in the next one.